Private investigators, what's the saddest thing you discovered? So I was sitting across from this young woman named Phoebe as she broke down crying in my office after I'd just destroyed 23 years of lies her mother had told her. She'd hired me to find her father, who supposedly abandoned them when she was a baby. But what I found was so much worse than anyone expected. Phoebe came to me 3 weeks earlier looking exhausted and desperate. She explained how her whole life her mom Sherlyn had told the same story. Her dad was a deadbeat who walked out when Phoebe was 6 months old. He never wanted kids and chose his freedom over his family. Never sent birthday cards or child support. Just vanished one day and never looked back. This story had shaped Phoebe's entire life. She had trust issues in relationships and always expected people to leave. She went through therapy in college trying to deal with the abandonment. She even wrote him angry letters she never sent just to get the feelings out. But something changed when Phoebe turned 23. Her mom had a health scare and during a vulnerable moment let slip something about Phoebe's dad trying to contact them years ago. When Phoebe pressed for details, Sherlyn clammed up and said she was confused from the medication. That little slip started Phoebe questioning everything. She hired me to find her father with just a name and an old photo from before she was born, Gene Chen. In the picture, he was holding baby Phoebe and looking at her like she was the most precious thing in the world. That photo didn't match the story of a man who didn't want kids. Finding Gene wasn't hard. He lived 2 hours away in the same house he'd bought with Sherlyn 24 years ago. He worked as a veterinarian and had never remarried. His social media was sparse but showed a quiet life with lots of photos of rescued animals. I arranged to meet him at a coffee shop without telling him why. When I introduced myself as a private investigator, his face went white. He asked if Sherlyn was okay and if Phoebe was safe. The concern in his voice was genuine and immediate. When I told him Phoebe had hired me to find him, he started shaking. This 50-year-old man put his head in his hands and sobbed right there in the coffee shop. After he composed himself, the real story came flooding out. Gene and Sherlyn had been college sweethearts. They got married young and tried for years to have a baby. When Sherlyn finally got pregnant, Gene was over the moon. He painted the nursery himself and read parenting books every night. He even started a college fund before Phoebe was born. But when Phoebe was 4 months old, Gene found credit card statements Sherlyn had hidden, hotel charges and expensive dinners at times when she claimed to be at her sister's house. He confronted her and she admitted to having an affair with her boss at work. Gene was devastated, but willing to work through it for Phoebe's sake. Then Sherlyn dropped the bomb. She wasn't sure if Gene was actually Phoebe's biological father. The timeline matched up with both him and the other man. Gene said it didn't matter because Phoebe was his daughter regardless of DNA. That's when Sherlyn turned vicious. She said if he tried to fight for custody or visitation, she'd tell everyone he'd been inappropriate with baby Phoebe. She'd ruin his veterinary career and make sure he never saw Phoebe again. Gene's lawyer told him that without biological proof of paternity and with those kinds of accusations, he didn't stand a chance. The safe thing was to walk away and hope Phoebe would find him when she was older. So he left everything to Sherlyn, including the house, and moved to a small apartment. For 23 years, he kept tabs on Phoebe from afar. He went to her high school graduation and sat in the back. He kept every newspaper clipping about her academic achievements. When she got into college, he anonymously paid off her student loans through a third party. He showed me a storage unit filled with birthday presents he'd bought every year. 23 wrapped gifts with cards he'd written but never sent.